Hey, thank you all for joining us, this afternoon. We're here at Interwoven Textile Fair by ITA. My name is Carrie Dillon. I'm the Managing Director of the International Textile Alliance, and we are the organization that produces this show. And so I'm pleased to present to you now, Lenzing Fibers will be presenting on the ECOVERO Viscose. This is Walter Brigham. He's the Senior Business Development Manager for Lenzing Fibers and the Tencel brand. And I'll turn it over to you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, it's lovely to see all these friendly faces and joining us for this little educational step up. Just a little background as to why I thought this was an important topic is viscose. Viscose has a good name and it's got a bad name. It's been around the block for many, many years, which we'll go through in the presentation. But really realizing that this industry uses generic viscose. And do they really know what they're buying, where it's coming from, who's making it, what conditions those people who are making it. So that's what I want to talk to you about today as to how we can fit in as to being a small step to a more sustainable option using viscose. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Just want to start out with Lenzing is a global company. So we have production sites all over the globe. We are the only ones who produce man-made cellulosics in the United States. We have Grimsby, UK. We have 3 production sites in Lenzing, Austria. We have Heilenkreuz in Northern Austria. We have Thailand, which is the world's largest lyocell plant. We produce in Nanjing, China, our modal and our viscose. We have Indonesia, where we produce our ECOVERO Viscose. And then we also have 2 pulp production sites, which is the raw material that we use to create the fibers. So there we have one in Northern Austria, and then we have one in Brazil as well. So we're not only self-sufficient as far as our own raw material, even though augmenting by buying from the market, we're a global company. Our fibers are available globally. And we have teams globally to help support any sourcing options, technical challenges that mills may have. You name it, we're there satisfying all those solutions. Just a brief history of glimpse into the fiber arena. So we fall under the cellulosic base. So you've got your synthetics, which are polyesters, et cetera. So that makes up a big portion of what's used in all industries of textile fibers. Then you've got your protein base, which are your silks, your wools, et cetera. And that's a very small portion, but it's an important portion because it delivers certain qualities and attributes that you need. Then you've got the glass fibers, et cetera, the fiberglasses, et cetera. And that isn't necessarily relative to this industry or any really textile industry for the most part. Then you've got your cellulosic base, and cotton is the bigger portion of that. It's cotton, linens, hemps, those grown agricultural products. And then the wood-based cellulosics represent 6% of the total picture. Just representing this, how's this going to change over the next 30 years? You think about there's going to be population growth over the next 30 years, which is going to generate about a 30 billion ton deficit, 30 million ton deficit in fiber need to satisfy the fiber use that we're going to have. So think about a couple things. The population growth is going to drive more food needing to be grown to feed them, as well as you'll need more clothing, et cetera, to clothe them. So the 3 areas that are going to be impacted will be the polyester arena, which will grow, unfortunately, but hopefully there's technologies to help that be more environmentally friendly. Your cotton's going to grow slightly because that's growing in land that will be either growing food or they've already invested in the GMO seeds, all those things to make that cotton production as big as it possibly can. So you'll see slight increases there, but the one that's going to really win out or satisfy some of that fiber need is the man-made cellulosics. So 6% today, anticipated significant growth over the next 30 years. So Lenzing as a company, we have brands that we put our fibers under. So we have our Tencel brand, which everybody's pretty much familiar with from the apparel arena, or I hope the bedding arena, and you're sleeping in Tencel sheets, which are the most delicious sheets. Then we also do ECOVERO as a brand for our viscose. We also produce non-wovens. This is under our VioCell brand. So this is baby wipes, face masks, let's go, filtration, battery fibers, you name it, non-wovens everywhere. And a lot of non-wovens are used in the furniture industry as well. And then we have our commercial products, Lenzing, under Lenzing brand, which is our FR products, and that's really geared towards the fire equipment arena. So with that, let's talk about a little bit of history of fibers. So viscose is the oldest technology. It was invented in the 1930s, and it's still a wood base, goes through a chemical process to create the fiber. That fiber is then cleaned, cut to staples, and then sold. Challenges with viscose, general challenges across all viscose is its shrinkage, weak when wet, and pilling. So those are consistent, and they really haven't gone away. What happened is in the 1960s, Model was created. Model is a modified viscose process. So it's still chemistry captured and treated along with the original viscose process. It's stronger, less pilling, less shrinkage. Then we moved to 1992, and that's when lyocell was invented. And we are one of the inventors of lyocell. And that is a closed loop production. So that fiber is stronger, has more moisture uptake, many varieties of sizes and lengths to blend with different fibers. Also, different technologies will be put into that because it is the latest innovation that is more sustainable. So closed loop production, that means capture the chemistry and reuse it greater than 99.5%. So that's not, you're not having to treat anything. It's not going out in the environment. It's recirculating within it. So that's the latest, and that's the one that over the last couple of years, we've been presenting to the furniture market industry. But we believe viscose is really the natural, easy step to help this industry move a little bit forward into sustainability because they're already using viscose. So again, the two technologies, Model and viscose, is capture chemistry and treat it so that it can go back into the world, basically. And lyocell is capture and reuse. So that's the main difference between these technologies. So we're going to dig into viscose now. Viscose is widely popular. I have 1 in 5 dresses and blouses are made with viscose. You'll see a lot of viscose out in like Tommy Bahama, etc., all these places, because it's a nice drapey, breathable fabric. So it's got a lot of benefits to it. Some of the drawbacks to it is there was many years ago this report called Dirty Viscose. This is where you're manufacturing in low income, not necessarily low income, but really third world countries where they weren't necessarily treating the chemistry correctly. You had a lot of defects, baby defects, etc., from mothers working in these conditions. So that's all the old, and it still exists in some of the production people making viscose today. So that's one of the things you have to be aware of. So we're going to figure out how you're going to do that. Controlled wood sources. You don't know, these aren't PFC or FSC certified sourcing for their woods that they're using in this process. So that's another reason that you'll see Lenzing is. Verifiable origins. So is there a tracer in it? How do I know who made it? How do I know where it came from? Those questions. And then a brand identity. There really is no brand that's recognized for a viscose, except for Lenzing's ECOVERO Viscose. So in our production, we use, and this is all compared to generic viscose, 50% less energy, 50% less water, and it's a 60% lower carbon footprint than generic viscose. The wood sources, so we only source from PEFC and FSC certified forestry. So that's all controlled, and that can be in some cases, which I'm really amazed. There's 2 actual retail brands, small, but they were able to map the supply chain and get the PFC and FSC certification for every step of their supply chain to be able to put it on their soft textiles. So that's, if one of them's doing it, others are asking for it. So think about that as far as another traceability that can happen, but that's going to evolve as you get more spinners on board, more weavers on board on that transaction certification. But what we do on our own is we have a fiber identifier that goes into the fiber at the point of production when it's extruded through spinnerets. So it's a fiber tracer that we can identify, a proprietary system that if you had questions whether this product was made with Lenzing ECOVERO Viscose, you can send us a sample of it. We'll put it into our lab, test it, and they will verify back to you whether it is or not. And then the other thing is highly recognizable brand. So ECOVERO is the most recognized viscose brand that's out there. This is an example of some investments that we put into our Indonesia plant, converting it into, taking it off of coal, moving it into natural gas for the energies to be able to make it compliant with the rest of our plants. This was the last one for us to do this to, and that project is completed. So super exciting that all of our plants are at the same level of EU Lab certified and the other certifications that we carry. This is a glimpse of the comparative on the Higg index on the 5 categories that they look at: soil, water, different things. And you can see how it compares to generic. And the winning parts are in the, I wish this was bigger. Fossil fuel, obviously, because we're not using oils to do that. And then also the global warming, which is all the CO2 that gets put out, which I mentioned we have lower emissions, and the soil managing, because we're using PFC and FC certified wood sources to generate the wood. Just some technologies that we put into it. So we are able to, since this is a capture and treat chemistry, we're able to introduce things into the solution before the fiber is created. So this is an example of dope dye, where black pigments are introduced into the solution before the fiber is extruded. So what's the benefit of this? You don't need to re-dye it. You permanent color, no fading, no rubbing off on white pants. So I'd love to see a black couch made out of this, super soft, and the black won't transfer. So those are some of the great exciting things about that. Other applications, you think about waiter uniforms or things that they, after a couple uses or washes, they look a little gray and whatnot. So this is a solution for those types of applications. A black couch where you don't want the color to transfer, uniforms, and anywhere you want to heather and you don't want to have to re-dye it. So it's savings of those applications. So this is the things that I just went over as far as the color stays after several washes, resistant to benzoyl peroxide resist and other sweat for those color discolorations, won't rub off on other garments, which all your normal dye processes do these things. And where we say what our testing shows that color stays, it won't transfer, and light fastness is super strong. Another application, think about blackout curtains, the blackout material. This would be a natural version versus all the polyester that's used in the world for that. And then it decreases the future wet processing that happens for dyeing fabrics, etc. So this is a summary of that. I know it's focused on apparel as far as tops, bottoms, and dresses, but we all know that's where things start and then they move to home. So think about this as a potential application that you could do something new and different with and have a new message. Another technology that we introduced in our Tencel brand was our Refiber technology. And Refiber technology is really addressing the waste that's created in the apparel business. So fast fashion, etc., all those things just go into landfills. And the goal is how do we become a more circular economy? We do that by reusing that waste in many ways. We all have heard about mechanical recycling. You know, they're doing that here with what their takebacks are, that SFC can talk about what they're doing there. That is a mechanical process where it's shredded and then either used in insulation or in some cases, and hopefully more, respun into new yarns for new applications and more finer applications as technologies move along. The other is chemical recycling. So we take cotton, and this is what we do, is we'll take cotton waste, convert it to pulp, blend that cotton waste pulp with our wood pulp, put it into that solution and extrude a virgin fiber from that. So there you're taking waste that would have gone to landfills and giving it a new life through a new format into a lyocell fiber. And did I mention our lyocell fibers are biodegradable and compostable? Certified? How great is that? So you get a couch made of ECOVERO Viscose, and at the end of the life, that fabric can go into your garden. You like that one, huh? So with using recycled materials, you can carry the RCS standard claims along with it through the supply chain. And yeah, so that's the thing. And this is the new introduction. We've been doing this in Tencel brand lyocell, but now we've been able to introduce it in the ECOVERO. And what I didn't mention is ECOVERO, when you look at fiber pricing, we know polyester is the cheapest out there. Next step up is viscose. So in viscose, we are now putting some additional technologies to broaden the offering. Then you go to cotton lyocell, which is very similar in price. They may fluctuate a little bit. And then you go into your more premium technologies like our refibrability, a little more expensive. But then you go into your wools, your linens, your supimas. So really, we can be used with any of these technologies as to adjusting the cost of something. So if you're doing a 90% linen, 10% cotton, that's one price. But if you're doing 70% linen and 30% lyocell or ECOVERO, you're bringing that cost of that fabric way down. So thinking about how you address things, how you still deliver that great end result that you want, but different fibers can address different costing structures. This is an example of the various brands out there that are already using ECOVERO branded viscose. And these are where the yarns can be found. So for those who are weaving, the yarns are available out in the world. And wanted to make this brief to be lots of questions. We also brought a lot of our fabrics and some new developments. So what I'd like to do is introduce Gamze Stoger, who leads our business management in Austria for the furniture upholstery segment, window, and rugs. So we cover all the categories. I cover all of them here for America, representing, and I'm your main contact to any solution you need. And she is the one working with mills to help develop new solutions and new fabrics. So with that, let's open up a question. My question to you is, who uses viscose today? Everyone. And is it generally generic viscose? And do we want a more sustainable world?
No.
And if we want a more sustainable world, are there choices of fibers that can be more sustainable?
Yeah.
Great. And which one is that? ECOVERO Viscose. Love it, love it, love it. So does anybody have any questions?
I graduated in student capital, the fourth, where does nylon fit in? And is nylon even used for?
Nylon?
Yeah.
So nylon is not, it would more fall under the polyester arena. So
I didn't
it would be in the polyamide arena.
Is nylon around already?
It's around, and you'll find even technologies going into that where they're taking nylon fishing nets and repurposing those, remelting them down. You'll see a lot of that redone nylon. It's not as prevalent. It is still a sustainability challenge. It has its attributes, but the more we can stay away from those. The other one, just as an FYI, elastane or lycra, The least amount you can use, that's great because that inhibits mechanical recycling as well as chemical recycling of any textile. So minimizing the amount of that you use will help make whatever you do as a fabric be more circular.
Thank
Pleasure.
I saw on the map where the graphs of where the yarns are available in the United States. Where is that center? Is that Kansas or?
It's really just demonstrating the U.S. So Parkdale, Bueller, multiple spinners work with our fibers already, and ECOVERO is part of their portfolio. The challenge I think for the furniture industry is yarn banks are very typical as far as designing a textile fabric. You go to your yarn supplier. I'm looking for, you know, 8s, 2-ply, this, that to create this, etc. So that's where in the furniture industry, since we haven't pushed so much, this is where we need your help in saying, specing that. Say, I want to use ECOVERO and I want this for this boucle, etc. So really helping to spread the word. To bring the sustainability, it's never easy. Nobody wants to change, but we need change, and we need everybody, ourselves pushing from this side and yourselves pushing from the other side. So you got to spec it, got to ask for it, and tell them what you want. Yes, Mary. Yes, yes.
Got a percentage of like fiber in it, but not take the attributes.
Sure. So I'll start off with, if you're using viscose today, it's a slight difference to use ECOVERO viscose, if any. So that's one way that where you're using it today, it shouldn't impact your costing. If you're building something new and you are talking to our house or you're talking to Restoration Hardware, where they're using 100% Belgian linen, etc., that's very expensive. And it has its own attributes as is. So when you introduce Tencel Lyocell or Tencel ECOVERO viscose, you're going to want to introduce it not to be a 100% solution, but a blended solution. So for branding purposes, to be able to say this is linen and ECOVERO viscose, a minimum of 30%. So now think about if it's $100 on linen and $100 a yard meter, and actually I'm going to be bad at that math, but just to give an example, you're going to reduce that cost if your thing is 100%, costs $100 and is 100% linen. Now, if you introduce something that's closer to the price of polyester, how much is your cost of that linen that fabric going to come down? Because now you've blended something significantly less expensive into it. You're going to get more comfort attributes from the linen, better performance attributes, better dye, take up, etc. So there's a lot of wins to it. Better hand, exactly. So it's ways, and wool's another one, super expensive, and we blend really well with wool. So thinking about those things, it's like, how do I get my costs down? How do I still deliver the look and feel that I want? It's by blending. And our last market was having the cotton partner, the wool partner, the Reprieve polyester partner, and ourselves, as far as really demonstrating blending together, you get a better product, you get better pricing, you know, just figuring out what you want to do at the end of the day, what you want to get, and then blending it in. But to your point, we don't recommend 100% of our fiber because of the upholstery, because of the excessive wear and tear on it. But we, in some cases, we're up to 80%, depending upon how you build your fabric. But hand is very important. Sleeping on the couch when you fall asleep, the heat builds up. It's like, you want a more comfortable nap on your couch, introduce our fibers into it. Any more questions? You guys want to come up and see our new fabric book? Great. So we'll go ahead and Gamze can show the 3 new developments, and then we'll leave it for touch and feel.
The percentage
Yeah, just come around here. I'll be your van.
related to your question, the percentage for the fabric actually is like a bit puzzle what you want the companies. Some companies they say that the strength, abrasion, peeling is very important. Then there is a amount you can use, but some country, I mean, especially in Europe, some brands they say we would like to have only natural fibers. The strength is less important because we would like to promote the sustainability, biodegradability, compostable fabrics. And I am working in some project in some design companies in Germany with 100% tensile fabrics in upholstery. Depends the customer demands and we can shape up. But if you would like to use the tensile name on the product, 30% is the minimum amount to use the tensile fiber in upholstery developments. Yes. 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 What we do actually, the company, the mills, they produce the fabric, and then we get this fabric 2 meters to our factory, and we are testing, is it our fiber is used inside? And then we are testing 2-3 tests, not so much, the fiber related test. Did they finish the fabric right way? Did they weave the right way? I mean, there are some fiber related test in upholstery like abrasion, peeling, and we are testing, and we have some minimum demands for that. If passing, we are giving approval, and then which they are allowed to use tensile name. This is the process.
Yeah, we with our testing and certification that goes along with being able to use the brand.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that what you're putting out in the world lives up to the expectations that we have for it, as well as what you put out.
Yes. Yes. Yes, we are supporting
Brand
them.
guides,
Yeah.
logos.
Yes. The hang tags.
We'll talk about these 3D.
Okay. And when we started this business, it was like 4 years ago. The tensile or ECOVERO Viscose was not so much in upholstery segment. We are developing last 4 years. Now we have all around the world like 13, 14 supply chain partners working with us. And you know, the viscose is mainly used in upholstery around 20%, 15% to give a little bit softness to the fabric. That is the reason actually the market is using to make the fabric a little bit more soft, to take away this polyester, the harsh feeling. And but now recently 4 years we are developing with other fibers like tensile. We are switching the viscose ECOVERO in Europe. And for example, this one we developed in one of the Belgium factory. I think they have also here the stand, which is thermos with the linen. We use the linen. And what is the, for example, advantages more than a sustainability? This the linen is, you know, it gets creased very much. But when you put the tensile fabric, the tensile fiber inside, or the Lenzing fibers, the crease is less. I mean, we have more advantages also more than a sustainability story. For example, this is one of the chenille qualities. You see how nice the touch and the drape is with the fabric compared to polyester. And what fits very well to Lenzing fibers is blending with the wool, which you get totally sustainable fabric because it's a wool and tensile together, and very nice touch also. It's
What's the percentage of in that?
in this one, if I'm not mistaken, is around 35 or 40%.
And then this one. You got this one?
This is around 30.
30%?
Yeah.
Was that one blended or not?
Yes.
Nice.
35. And then here.
For example, you can take this one, this is 60% acid lyocell and in total is 74%. You see, if you make this one with the polyester, it will get total. This is 74%. And then you get this shine. Now, the fiber is the structure is like a cement structure, the human surface. That's why you get this shine. It's,
And then these two here are flat woven, super soft hand or flat woven. And then the one that everybody loves is this dark blue velvet. So it's a cotton model. So usually cotton velvet are dry looking and have a rubber hand. This brings all natural and brings to like a polyester like that. So it's just yes. And you suited that, right? Right. So we have a nice book concept broad that you can see what's available, what you can make, inspiration.
these are only examples to make a development like collection in factories to be able to show how our fibers outcome with the different demands. But of course, the retailers generally know their own.
So we're available. Bars, anything that you